Welcome back to Obscure Board Games. This is Vampire Hunter, a game played in the dark. Dracus the vampire looks out of his tower window to the ocean waves crashing below. He awaits a rescue ship, for he senses that vampire hunters are closing in on his location. Over 800 years old, Dracus has the power and connections to defend himself and escape when the surrounding townsfolk get wise, but as the centuries pass, the vampire hunters become increasingly determined and stealthy. In this game, you and the other players take on the role of the vampire hunters, determined to overcome Dracus's defenses and destroy him in his crypt before the rescue ship reaches the port. To start, each player takes a unique vampire hunter pawn and a clove of garlic. Randomly place the tiles on the matching board spaces and place the coffin in the crypt. Shuffle the red and blue decks separately and then place the red deck on top of the blue deck, then place the ship on the side column. This is the game's timer. Now, with the lights off, the vampire hunt can begin. The goal of the game is to travel through each area, the graveyard, marsh, castle dining room, and finally into the crypt to fight Dracus the vampire, all while the tower light in the middle shifts from day to night and changes the spaces of the game board. On your turn, draw a card from the deck. If it says night, make sure that the castle light is blue. If it says day, make sure that it's red. You can change the light by pressing the tower turret down, and the sundial on the board helps keep track of what time of day it is. If the card you drew also shows the vampire's ship, advance the ship one day closer to port. If you change the light to nighttime, check to see if you are now on a pit trap space. These are dangerous spaces that seem normal during the day but send you back to the entrance space of your current room if you find yourself on them when night falls. After drawing, roll the movement die. The numbers on the die change between day and night, decreasing at night as it becomes harder to move in the dark. As you make your way to Dracus's crypt, you must acquire a sword and a wooden stake from the tiles on the board. You may move only orthogonally, and you cannot move over face-down tiles. When you land next to any tiles, flip them over. If you flip over a weapon that you don't have, take it and place it in front of you. If the tile you reveal doesn't have a weapon, it's an encounter tile. These can either be harmless gravestones or villagers, or they can be dangerous werewolves, zombies, and vampires that must be battled depending on the time of day. If you find yourself next to any monsters, you must battle them by rolling the battle die. If you roll a hit, you defeat the monster and remove its tile from the board. If you roll a skull, you have been defeated and move your pawn back to the entrance of the room that you are in. Once you've gathered each of the weapons and made it all the way into Dracus's crypt, night falls permanently and you can now face the vampire. By landing next to his coffin, you initiate battle with one of your weapons. Roll the battle die, and if you hit Dracus, place that weapon at the foot of his coffin, signifying that you've wounded him. You then continue fighting Dracus with one of your other weapons, but if you roll a skull, you are sent back to the crypt entrance, leaving any weapons that wounded him in the coffin. If you manage to successfully battle Dracus using the third and final weapon, regardless of who wounded him with the first two, you defeat the vampire and win the game. The sun rises once more and the village is safe. But if the ship reaches the final ocean space, Dracus escapes to yet another unsuspecting village and nobody wins. The hunt simply continues.